Hello, everyone. Welcome. You are at the Glamhive Live conference here. The panel is post-pandemic fashion, what's new and what's now, which is like the best topic that we can all talk about right now as we are heading into summer. We're super excited to have you here. My name is Sydney Sadik, and I'm your moderator of the day. We're going to get to a couple of housekeeping notes before we get right into our conversation with our amazing lineup of panelists. We are all in New York, by the way, so we're bringing you guys some East Coast vibes. To start things off, you guys, at any time during this session, feel free to leave your questions, comments, and any technical support requests in the chat box. This is public, FYI, so everyone can see what you're sending. We will be starting with our panel discussion for 30 minutes, and we're going to leave 10 minutes at the end for a fun Q&A. So definitely submit your questions. This session is recorded and will be available post-event. And make sure to follow us at Glamhive and engage with us socially using our event hashtag Glamhive Live. We also want to quickly say thank you to our presenting sponsor, Mary Kay Global Design Studio. Mary Kay and the Mary Kay Global Design Studio celebrate a world where beauty and fashion and empowerment are synonymous with one another. And Mary Kay champions creative industries that are diverse, inclusive, and innovative at their core. So we're super excited to have them being a part of this amazing conference. And now to kick things off, I thought it'd be great for each of our panelists to go around and introduce themselves. So why don't we start off with Tamara?
Yes, hi everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Tamara Rappa. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of storyandreign.com. We're a digital fashion, beauty, lifestyle, and entertainment magazine. And I'm also the host of our podcast, the Story and Rain Talks podcast, which is conversations with creatives from all fields.
And Anahita.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Anahita Moussavian, and I am the deputy fashion editor of the New York Post and its luxury fashion supplement, Alexa. I've been there for 14 years, covering everything ranging from New York and Paris and Milan fashion weeks to styling our celebrity cover shoots for Alexa.
Love it. Alexa is one of my favorites. And Lizzy.
Hey guys, I'm Lizzy Rosenberg. I'm a fashion stylist and creative. I've been working independently since the pandemic started, so not a better topic than this one to be discussing today. I was formerly in-house with Michael Kors, Tommy Hilfiger, and J. Crew over the last 10 years, and excited to be exploring the freelance space, doing editorial, and it's been so much fun.
I love it. What an impressive group of women that we have here on this Saturday afternoon. We have so much to get into, and a little bit on me. I'm a national broadcast contributor and host concentrating on fashion and celebrity. You can see me on the Today Show, E! Inside Edition, and shows like that. And I'm really excited to be able to host this conversation today. We've got a lot of fun topics to get to, and we're going to make sure that we get all of your questions answered. So don't forget to submit yours in the questions in the chat widget right here. And to start things off, we will go with Tamara. So let's begin here, my friend. In the wake of such fundamental behavioral shifts, no secret there, how do you think that the pandemic will impact fashion this year?
I think that there will be a return to heavy accessorizing. Ooh. I also think that the mark that the pandemic lifestyle will make will be the gift of this new way of dressing that is elevated athleisure. So elevated, the dress down, dress comfy elements that we've all come to love and have on repeat will hit next level status. As we truly begin to come out of this, I think that people like designers and stylists and tastemakers will take the reins and take the lead with looks that have the same relaxed elements, but in fresh and avant-garde silhouettes, accessorized to perfection.
I love that. And I feel like the reality is when we've all been so comfortable for so long, I think people really don't want to give that up. But like you're saying, it's going to be basically the roaring 20s. We're going to see a lot of statements being made out there each and every day. And I'm ready for it. I'm sure you're ready for it too.
I'm ready for it. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how fashion is interpreted over the next few months.
I'm so ready. I feel like individuality, we're going to see so much of it. And maybe things will be a little less trend driven, perhaps. Maybe it'll be more about what works for each person a little bit, but we'll see. I know that our other panelists also will have a lot to say on that.
Yeah.
Anahita, this is a great quote here to transition to this, okay? Because you are like the real life Carrie Bradshaw fashionista of New York. Carrie Bradshaw once said this, okay? Every year, to quote, the women of New York leave the past behind and look forward to the future. This is known as New York Fashion Week, which is clearly so much part of your stomping grounds. So what did you see on the runways for spring and summer 2021 that you're most excited about right now?
Okay, first of all, I love that quote and the intro to that question. So thank you so much for that moment. There's a lot that I saw. I mean, I think there's a lot of celebrating of individual style. I think whether you're someone who loves to be casual, I think there's a lot of athleisure options that are out there, whether it's wearing like your sweatpants with maybe a corset or a bustier, like those things are okay now. If you're somebody who loves to just go balls to the walls with like head to toe glitter and heels, that is also welcome on the sidewalks of New York now. I mean, Michael Kors just showed his 40th anniversary show, and granted it was a fall collection, but it was all about stepping out in the theater district in your finery. And to me, there is nothing more of like a love letter, not just to New York City and to a fashion capital of the world, but to women everywhere or people everywhere, truly, and how they want to dress and how people want to dress. You can wear a knit dress with a stiletto and a ballet, like a, wrap a knit, like cashmere little blanket thing around you. Sorry, I'm losing my words because that show was truly one of the most amazing moments that I've seen in a really long time. But it was truly a celebration of effortless glamour. So that show really resonated with me. And I think in terms of a couple of other trends, the 90s and the early aughts are everywhere. I think people are as eager as they are to kind of stay in their comfort zone, literally in the sweats. I think they're also eager to break out in mini skirts and backless tops and the kerchief tops. And like, as a child of that era, like that's when I graduated from high school. It's really funny to see that come back right now, but I'm very excited to revisit it because I literally have plaid skirts from Abercrombie and Fitch at that time that were so popular that I cannot wait to revisit and modernize with, tube tops from Aritzia that are happening right now. So
I love that. I think in fashion, what's old really becomes new again most times, right? And I totally relate to you. I have my plaid skirts that I wore when I was like in school. I had a uniform and I'm like, I really should have kept those because that really could have been the comeback right there. So I love that. And Lizzy, we've got to talk about handbags because I think accessories besides shoes and statement earrings, they were sort of put on the side for the last year. Where were we going that we even needed to wear a handbag essentially, right? So while most of us might not have carried a bag in a while, what bags would you say are worth the investment this season?
I love this question because in terms of investment pieces, handbags and shoes are the two places that I really put my money into when it comes to ready to wear, because trends are cyclical and there's always something new and exciting. I try to put my money into things that are going to serve a purpose for me every day, that I'm going to continue to enjoy, that serve as being timeless. And I think looking to the future, we have to consider, where we are in the world. So, in respects to New York, like the four of us, we are now no longer using plastic bags, and there's upcharges for paper bags to be used at any convenience stores. And I think that training people to carry their own bags, and in turn, if we're making this a fashion moment, investing in tote bags, like beautiful tote bags, I think that's a great place to start. And you're doing something that's good for the environment. It shows that you're socially aware, and it's another cute accessory to just throw on with your outfit. And as well with people starting to go back to work and working from home, if you have something to put your laptop in, to carry it around. And I think that's a great place for people to be investing that, and clutches as well, because it's a small way to reacclimate yourself to the idea of having something on your person that contains everything you need, and it's not as large as a pocketbook would be. You can just throw your cell phone, your keys, your credit card, your mask, and your hand sanitizer in there, and you're good to go.
It's so true, Lizzy. It's so funny. Like when I look at my purses right now that I wear, they are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Literally the Purell, that's it. That's all that can fit because I'm so not used to having something on me. And I think a lot of women can relate to that, but such a good point about making sure that you bring your, a bag that's large enough to fit your belongings. And like you said, so it's definitely interesting to see how our accessories can definitely reflect the times and how things are very much changing. Let's go back to you, Tamara, because it is no secret, like you said, you're the founder and editor-in-chief of Story and Reign. So we're really curious over here about what fashions and tastemakers that you're spotlighting this summer.
Well, yes, we are shining a light on entertainers and entertainment in the digital world. All of the wonderful film and series programming that we're seeing on the streaming platforms and networks. So we're embracing fashion and pop culture like never before, especially during this interesting time of 2020 and 2021. So we're celebrating style not on the screen, we're celebrating style on the screen, not just in fashion, but also in decor and home decor, and how that might translate into our own day-to-day. So that's really what we're focusing on. It's going to be an interesting summer, like I said before, to watch in terms of the trends that we're going to see people adopt. And I think a lot of that is coming from television these days. There was a lot of television watching. There's a lot of voracious dedication to television and, both in film and in series. And there's a lot of stylish film and television that we've been looking at, right? There's Bridgerton, there's Emily in Paris, things like that. It's stuff like that that we're gonna have fun with this summer.
Yeah, what did you think, by the way, of Emily in Paris? And I know it's a little bit of a throwback in terms of how many other shows have come out since then, but that was probably one of the more controversial ones in the sense of people's opinions about the fashion on that show. So what's your take?
My take is that Patricia Field can do no wrong. That's it.
Simply
That's
put.
That's all. That's all. I mean, I think it's over the top. It's, it's not going to make sense, but that's part of the fantasy. And I think that people want to watch things that bring them joy, and they want to see beautiful things. They want to see beautiful settings, and they want to see beautiful clothing. I mean, and accessories, I know I do, but I think that Patricia Field can do no wrong in terms of how she can be a little over the top sometimes in her styling, but that's what we love her for. And that's what we get. Again, that's what whether you are cognizant of it or not, that's where you're getting your ideas from, by the way. That's what everyone's wearing. It really does trickle down into pop culture and society.
It's so true. I look at my closet and I know Anahita too. I mean, there's so much of what I have. I'm like, this is so Carrie Bradshaw of the 90s. So I'm super excited that that show is coming back, and it's going to be so fun to see the style, evolve even from the last 10 years from the movies to where we are right now. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. Anahita, back to you, because as an editor at the New York Post, you are constantly surrounded by some of the most glamorous, items in fashion, and always picking such great things to share with your readers for Alexa. What items have you recently featured that are also in your personal shopping cart? Because we know you love a little bit of a shopping moment.
Well, thank you for your kind words. Well, I guess jumping on the Pat Field train, I recently styled an Alexa cover shoot starring Ashley Park from Emily in Paris. So she was amazing. It was really fun because there was a really fun Sarah Jessica Parker shoe moment where I pulled some SJP collection shoes. And I think Ashley channeled her inner Pat Field and was like, can I wear one style in two different colors? The way Carrie Bradshaw might do? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But sidebarring there, that pair of shoes from the SJP collection were called Fawn, and I love those. Those are always in my shopping cart because that shoe is perpetually coming out in new colorways, and it's like the most comfortable stiletto. I love it. And also from the Ashley Park shoot, there's a pair of Jimmy Choos called the Sicaria, and they're like a pink to blue ombre glitter platform that I think is sort of the perfect entree into post-pandemic life. Because I think if you're not ready for a stiletto, but you're a little bit tired of wearing something low-heeled or flat, a platform is a very soft entry into a high-heeled world. I have an upcoming story that's coming out this week, so I can't reveal too much, but there are polo shirts from the brand Tombolo that are in my shopping cart, but and also jewelry from the brand Bon Bon Whims, locally based in downtown New York, really whimsical, playful, price friendly. So that's there's a bit of a range there between, you know, the Jimmy Choos and the Bon Bon Whims, but that's
such great recommendations. It's so funny because when we were talking, all of us here before the wonderful audience members joined, we were talking about just, you know, not going out as much and putting heels on, like to actually walk around New York City versus just wearing them in my home for the first time was the most painful experience ever. I lost my magic touch. The platforms, like you're saying, that's the way to go. So good. So good. Well, Lizzy, I'm really curious to know, based on your professional experience, if you've seen a color shift post-pandemic. Are brands using more optimistic shades? Are they steering clear from neutrals? What are you noticing?
You know, I think kind of playing off of what the other people on our panel have been discussing is that fashion has really, at the moment, allowed everyone to express and explore their personal style, and there seem to be no rules in a lot of ways, whereas in the past we kind of subscribed to certain brands and what they were putting forward by way of trends. I really feel like right now there's something for everybody. And I think the same kind of goes to be said in respect to color. But I will say that generally speaking, when I'm walking around looking in the stores and just what I'm naturally gravitating to, it's a lot of earth tones and neutral colors, things that are really seasonless, that I can enjoy in this time of year where it's a little bit warmer and it's May, it's spring, you know, and looking to the summer, we associate that with lighter colors. But for myself, like, I love to enjoy camels and whites and ecru's year round. And I think that it's a great way to blend it in with your darker pieces. You know, looking to the fall and winter, if, you know, we are going to, as a collective unit, that is the world, can like resume back to normal and start shopping again. Like, what are the things that you're going to enjoy now and that can work with your wardrobe, you know, and that will, like, you'll continue again to enjoy, like, looking to the future, and that are tasteful and timeless.
Definitely. And a follow-up question to that is, what labels are you currently most impressed by and why?
From the ready-to-wear space, I've been loving what's happening at Bottega Veneta. It's such an interesting shift, seeing what the brand once represented, and with Daniel Lee entering the space and the way that he's rebranded the entire creative and the response that's received. And of course, it's reflected in the design of the clothing. It's not based on marketing alone, that's for sure. But I think that if seeing the rebirth of that and what he was able to do, I think will probably inspire a lot of other designers out there who have namesake. From a fine jewelry stance, I'm really interested to see what Tiffany & Co. does in the next year or so, now that they've been acquired by LVMH and they have new creative in place. I think that, you know, there's something really nostalgic about it, especially for myself as a girl who was of the 90s, early 2000s, and identified with Tiffany & Co. as being this, like, idolized jewelry label, and how special that was to me at the time. And now that it's getting a resurgence, like, executed through its creative and its ownership, I think there's something very excited that we should all be looking out for in terms of how they direct. And then from a contemporary standpoint, there's a brand called Soroya that I absolutely love right now. What they're doing is designing clothing that's not gender specific. So anything is accessible for men's and women, and that's seen not only through the design of the clothing, but the fabric choices themselves, which I think that men and women definitely have a different threshold on what fabrics they feel comfortable with wearing every day, and that fits their body type. But this is allowed for for just everybody to be accessible to this product, and look great. And there's no boundaries there then.
Completely. I'm not sure if we just froze or if you can hear us, but if you can still hear me, Lizzy, I think we're okay. I'm curious because obviously when you bring up Tiffany's, I go back to thinking about April Fool's Day and when they announced on Instagram that they were, transforming their classic Tiffany green to going yellow, and I really fell for it. Did you fall for it is the question.
I didn't, but only because the Tiffany blue is so signature to them.
Blue.
And I'm a stylist, I'm not an art director, but I think that to lose that would be, it's just so much about their identity. And I appreciated the yellow, but I had a feeling it wasn't forever, but who knows? That's a part of the reason why I'm excited to see where the brand goes, because they're taking risks in ways that we wouldn't have expected them to do in the past.
Definitely. What a moment though that was. I remember getting all the DMs. Do you believe it? Do you believe it? I'm like, this is 2021, 2020. I mean, you never know. And Tiffany changing colors, right? That's just one more thing to add to the list. Well, Tamara, I'm curious because sustainability is obviously a huge topic that we all talk about in fashion so much. And I think it increases really constantly. What are your thoughts? Is sustainability the future of a modern fashion industry?
It's 100% the future of a modern fashion industry. And why? The best talents in our industry are forward-thinking innovators, and there are so many. And I think because of that, our sustainable fashion future is burgeoning and bright.
I love that. It's so true. And we're seeing so much more of this constantly. And in terms of online shopping, Tamara, do you think that online shopping has changed the in-store experience forever?
Yes. Well, this is how I sort of think about it. I think there will always be a reason to buy in person, whether it's a bunch of kale or a cashmere sweater, right? It's changed the in-store experience because it's allowed the consumer to be their own salesperson by being able to pull their own assortment, to be their own stylist, because they have the ability to try on potential purchases with existing pieces and accessories from their closet, by in some ways even allowing them to be their own fashion editor, by allowing them to shop a big assortment and then be thoughtful about editing down to key items. So I think online shopping has made the consumer more informed and more discerning. And I was actually just discussing this with the fashion designer Cocoon the other day. I think many of you might know that after years of runway collections and retailer partnerships, Cocoon changed his price point and moved to direct to consumer. So I actually had a very interesting conversation with him about why, but those are my thoughts on it.
And what were like the 2 cents in your conversation with him?
I mean, I think what Cocoon was saying is that, his girl, his the same thing that I just said is sort of like, she wasn't shopping in the same way that she once was, that she's, sort of taking things into her own hands, a little bit more discerning and, up for buying something at a lower price point. Whereas before it's like Cocoon was saying, like, it's the dress that you have to have, or this that you have to have. I think the spectrum is broad for people now. People are really becoming their own stylists and thinking out of the box.
I do agree. I love that so much. And I just want to remind everyone who is watching us right now, you can submit your questions for our lovely panelists in the chat little widget at the bottom of your screen. And we're going to get to them in around 5 minutes. So make sure to submit them while we continue the chat. But back to you, Anahita. I mean, in a wardrobe of new and now, right? That's the focus. It's also important, I think, to really have a couple of classics. So what would you say are your go-to classics?
Okay, well, some of them might come as a surprise because if you know anything about me, I love rainbows and tutus and glitter, and all of those are certainly essential for me. But I realized in the last couple of years, I'm a big collector of jackets, and I think varsity jackets, denim jackets, those are just things that I always gravitate towards as either easy layering pieces or pieces that can complete your outfit. In particular, I love varsity jackets from the brand Roots. I've had one for almost 10 years. That's been my go-to. I also, for me, at least another investment piece, I love sneakers. Vans have always been a go-to for me. They're price friendly, they're cool, they're classic. they truly go with anything. I've been wearing Vans and the Carrie Bradshaw tutu that you can buy from Pat Field's shop. I've been wearing that combo for, again, like over 10 years, and it never feels dated. And I also really truly believe in the power of the perfect little black dress. I purchased a Norma Kamali one-shouldered LBD maybe 12 years ago, and I found it at a shop in the East Village called Tokyo 7, and it was $250. And at the time, especially for me, that was really a lot of money, and it's still a lot of money. But I just remember thinking, Norma Kamali, mini dress, one-shouldered, ruched, looks great on my body, done. And I found myself pulling it out this past December just for like a night of celebrating, and it's something I'll wear forever. So I feel like in terms of investment pieces and key pieces, those are the ones. Oh, and speaking of tiny handbags, I've been a long time collector of tiny handbags because I've always liked to carry as little as possible, because in my job, I'm often running around the city or running around from appointment to appointment. So I do think a small bag that carries your bare minimum essentials is key for your wardrobe.
I love that. And Norma Kamali, by the way, can do no wrong. It's so true. Her pieces are so timeless and classic. And she's also such an inspirational person for everyone out there. Her book is really great. And I want to ask you one more question, Anahita, because you are someone who really, I feel like, always dresses for you. And that's something that takes a lot of confidence. A lot of people can aspire to be like that. So with that being said, why do you think that style is the best form of self-expression?
That's such a great question, and it's really hard for me to answer it in such a short period of time. But why do I think style is such a great form of self-expression? I think it's just because it reveals so much about your personality. And having worked with so many personalities and having styled so many different types of personalities, I can see, how it takes a lot of bravery just to sort of try new things. And there's so many people who ask me, well, how do you wear that dress? And why do you decide to put that sparkly top with those dirty sneakers that you've been wearing for 5 years? And my answer always is, I just do it. Like, I don't have a better answer other than I just do it. And I think, there are days when I wake up and I feel like if I'm in a, less than perfect mood, I might wear something that reflects that a little bit. If I'm feeling like I'm ready for an amazing day, like I'm going to wake up and I'm going to look in my closet and I'm like, what is going to match the mood of this day? So that is sort of how I approach it. And it's how I encourage other people to approach how they dress. But I really just think you can learn so much about people by how they dress. And honestly, with the pandemic and not seeing so many people, I lost a little bit of inspiration because there wasn't a lot of people watching. So now being out and about a little bit more day by day and just seeing people really express themselves, like you can just see people bursting out in their outfits on the sidewalk. It's really, really fun to watch.
It is. It's so refreshing, and it's so different seeing, getting dressed with a purpose versus when we're just in our homes. And of course, if you had tons of Zoom meetings and whatnot, that is a purpose. But you're right. There's something about being on the streets, feeling the energy, and the way you dress can completely affect your mood. It definitely can. Lizzy, one last question for you before we get to the Q&A, because we have a lot of great questions here. How can we, in short, use clothing to recharge our lives?
I think playing off of what Anahita's saying, you should dress for your mood. And I think that with at least the way that we see Manhattan opening up again, it's very promising. And I think that, we should, do our best to appreciate what the sacrifices we've made to get to this point now, and celebrate that through the ability to resume life as close to normal as we've had the opportunity to for the last year. I think the easiest way for you to do that through clothing, if you are going out and you want to purchase a couple of new things, is instead of buying things that you already know you enjoy. So for instance, if it's a white button down shirt, don't just go for like the tailored, crisp, button down, but try something that has puff sleeves or something with a little bit more volume to it. And the same goes with slacks, which are something that I wouldn't just wear to the office when I was in a corporate setting, but that I enjoy now with a scarf top tied up. But to wear, look for wide leg trousers instead of something that's a little bit of a narrower hemline. I think those are ways to kind of like push ourselves forward and re-inspire ourselves through clothing.
I could not agree more. What an exciting time it is right now to reinvent ourselves a little bit through fashion. And with that being said, we have some wonderful questions here from our audience. So
Great.
whenever each of you want to just jump right on in to answer, it's all on you guys. So first question here from Dina. She wants to know, hi, everybody. Do you guys think that New York Fashion Week will be live again this September? And will you guys come to emerging designer and brand shows?
There was an announcement last week about quite a few marquee names who will be participating in actual shows this coming September for New York Fashion Week. So that sounds promising. I feel like when there's news that early on, usually more shows will come trailing behind as we get closer and closer to the dates. And I know that personally for years and years and years, I've always done my best to try to go to, cover the bigger names, but personally, I always love trying to also attend emerging brands shows because like that is the future. And that is where fresh ideas come from. And a lot of inspiration comes from there. So I always try to balance it out. I don't know if that answers.
And she does. I was an editor at the Daily Front Row for years, and that's where Anahita and I know each other from. And it's true, you've always been there supporting such a wide range of designers. And I really think that it will be vibrant this September. I think there's a lot of planning going on right now. We also hear about the Met Ball, which is supposedly supposed to take place also in September. So it's going to be very interesting to see not just what goes on in terms of the shows, but the events that were such in large part, a huge part of making Fashion Week possible and getting, the attention on such a wide scale. So it's going to be very interesting to see, but I personally do believe that it will be back in a pretty normal way. Not 100% normal, but I think there will be a lot of traction going on again. Next question here from Kristen, you guys. Can you guys talk about fall trends?
I've been putting a lot of attention into spring and summer at the moment, just because of the space that I'm operating in with editorial. All of the publications are focusing or have been for the last couple of months on the current season product. But with that being said, in terms of fall trends, I think that we're seeing a lot of the things that women want to wear, that they actually want to wear, things that feel obtainable to them, that they're willing to spend a higher price point at in order to have the luxury and the experience again of feeling good in their clothing, and using classic materials that are generally associated with the time period. If it's padded leather, wool, cashmere, those sorts of textiles.
And a follow-up question to this, Lizzy, from another audience member here is, are there any trends happening right now that you can't get behind?
That I can't get behind?
Yes.
Oh,
no.
man.
Spice here, come on.
Yikes. Oh my God, am I gonna put myself in that hole right now?
Yes.
I really encourage everything. I think there's a way to do everything right. And I think confidence is so much about that. Like, fashion, being fashionable and having style, these are two different things. Like, personal style, and I think that a lot of the women that we look up to in this business or look to emulate throughout our careers are the women who not only dress well, but that had a certain personal style. And, that's, two people can be wearing the same thing and you may have a different response to it. So I think it really comes from internally, for sure.
It's like when Samantha and Miley Cyrus in Sex and the City 2 are wearing that same sequin dress to the premiere for Smith Jerrod's new movie, right? This is another question here. Maybe Tamara, you can take this one. And this question says, as an emerging designer of luxury silk dresses, how do you get a consumer to invest in your fashion pieces over a well-known designer's pieces? Additionally, how can I elevate interest in my brand as things get back to normal? Any advice is appreciated. I'm doing direct to consumer now as well to keep my price point more accessible.
Okay, let me find the question. Well, I think first of all, I think a lot of people can underestimate branding and brand messaging, especially in our world of Instagram. So I think that would be something to pay attention to. I think the question should be, is my brand cohesive? Am I telling a story? Is my brand messaging cohesive? What is my angle? These are things that, we talked a little bit about it earlier, like online shopping and shopping from your phone, like I said, has become such a sort of big resource for people. I think you have to really think about these days. I think people are more and more, I said it earlier, more and more open to just finding great pieces wherever they find them, whether it's scrolling through their Instagram feed or what have you. But I think that as a brand, you need to have a cohesive and really pull together brand message. So that's what I would focus on. I would say, what is our look? What is our feel? What do we do? What do we not do? What is our angle? I would tighten up some of those things. And I think that when you do as a brand, I think your people find you. I think, you have a real identity that people can get behind. Elevating interest, I think that's part of how you can elevate interest, is to be in those spaces and look at what other people are doing in spaces like, Instagram, for example, and on their websites. And I think I'm doing direct to consumer now as I want to keep my price, but yeah, I think it's great. I say, focus on your branding, focus on your message, focus on telling a very specific story, and then go full force with it.
There you have it. Great advice. Thank you so much. Next question, Anahita. There's a lot of love for your top that you are wearing today. Where is it from?
Oh, it's from, it's actually a dress and it's long sleeved. And it's midi length, and it's from the designer Olivia Rubin. She's all about the pastels and the pretty and the easy to zip up and go and feel beautiful all day long.
I am such a huge fan of Olivia and one of the kindest people. Love her stuff. Yeah, she is very you. It is super, super beautiful, her pieces. We have another question here. What would you guys say? The question here is 5, but maybe we'll do less than 5, maybe 2. What are the top pieces that a woman over 50 should have in her wardrobe?
It depends, I guess. What is her aesthetic?
Right.
What's she comfortable? What is she? That's where I like to start always, is like, as opposed to saying what someone should wear, is knowing like, what's your lifestyle? What's your vibe? Who are you? And I think that's where I start to get the ideas from. Not to throw the question back at somebody, but
yeah, if you tell us who you are, we can give you great specific advice. I think all 4 of us, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go to another question here from Charles Gregory, who wants to know, this is a great question. What is your take on designers doing collaborations such as Gucci and North Face?
I love it.
I love it too. I can't get enough of it.
Same.
I like fell out of my chair when I saw the Gucci and Balenciaga show. I was freaking out. Like
Truly something.
In a good way, falling out of my chair.
It's interesting. Very interesting.
Very. I'm going to do one more question here, and maybe each of us can answer, and this will be a great way to end things off. Let's each reveal what our favorite item in our closet is right now. Start off with you, Lizzy.
I too have a personal affinity for outerwear pieces, and I procured a beautiful suede fringe jacket not long ago that's vintage, and it looks like something that Stevie Nicks just walked off stage in. I can't wait to wear it all fall, truly.
I love that. Tamara, you're up.
I'm collecting slides, I think a little bit sort of going back to what we were talking about earlier is like sort of the way to ease yourself into a life of heels again is to do a platform. I'm all about like a sporty platform, whether it's something from Stella McCartney or Louis Vuitton or Zara's doing really fun ones, all about like sport influence slides that aren't quite flat and have a little bit of height to them.
Love that. Anahita, what's yours?
If I'm allowed, could I pick two?
Yeah.
Okay, because you know, Pat Field has been like the #1 fashion influence in my young adult life, now my adult life and my career. And obviously loving Carrie Bradshaw as a character. SJP had a shoe in her collection that she has called the Anahita. That is a low-heeled, buckled, rainbow glitter shoe. So that's probably my #1 favorite piece in my wardrobe, is a shoe named after me by this crazy story of life coming full circle and the greatest honor in my career. And second to that is an ombre glitter gown that is dark blue to mermaid blue to cream, and it's entirely made of sequins, designed by a woman I have so long respected and admired, Jenny Packham, and she named that gown the Anahita for me as well. So honestly, to have a dress and a shoe and to have just those pieces head to toe by women I admire and respect so much, like I can't think of any other items that would ever top those two.
How iconic is that, you guys? I mean, really, not just one item, but two, named after our fabulous panelists here today by such incredible people. I love that. My favorite item right now is something that's newer, the Prada Clio bag. I have to say, I had not worn a handbag in over a year, and I was like, I think it's going to be time to splurge on something new to get me to wear one again. And I've been wearing it every single day since it entered my closet. It's the best money that I've spent on a bag. So that's me. But how fun to hear all of your different perspectives today. This was so wonderful. Thank you all so much for taking the time and for our audience to be here with all of us today. You guys will now have a 5-minute transition, and you guys can take a quick break before entering your next session from the agenda tab on our conference site. I'm Sydney Sadek. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.